Let's bring in celebrity and royal commentator Kinsey Schofield. Kinsey, Meghan Markle has come under fire for attending the Balenciaga fashion show after the brand sustained enormous reputational damage for producing disturbing ads featuring children. What do you make of this whole saga?
What happens when a woman once treated like royalty is suddenly reminded that status doesn't buy respect? The world watched in disbelief as Meghan Markle, known for her elegance and influence, faced a moment no one saw coming. A simple request for a custom Hermès bag turned into a scene of quiet humiliation that left luxury insiders whispering. But this wasn't just about a handbag. It was about power, perception, and the price of falling out of favor. Sources close to the French fashion house claim Meghan's approach was met with polite resistance, followed by a firm refusal that shocked even her closest circle. Some say it was personal, while others insist it was a matter of policy. Either way, the message was clear. Not everyone bends for the Duchess of Sussex anymore. From private showrooms to social media chatter, the story spread like wildfire, raising one haunting question: has Meghan finally lost her charm in the world's most exclusive circles? Stay with us, because what really happened behind those luxury boutique doors will change everything you thought you knew about Meghan's relationship with high society. A secret request in Paris. It all began in the heart of Paris, far from flashing cameras and the noise of social media. Meghan Markle, known for her impeccable taste and refined fashion sense, reportedly made a discreet move early this year, one that would quietly ripple through the luxury world. Her team, working through private channels, contacted Hermès with a simple yet bold request: a custom handbag designed exclusively to her vision. It wasn't a demand for attention or status, but rather an attempt to blend her personal identity with timeless craftsmanship, something uniquely Meghan. On paper, the request seemed harmless. Meghan wasn't just another celebrity. She had once been part of the most recognized family on earth. Her style choices had inspired millions, and anything she carried instantly became a trend. But Hermès doesn't operate on trends. For over 100 years, the French fashion house has maintained a reputation for rarity and restraint, a world where waiting lists for a Birkin or Kelly can stretch for years, and even the wealthiest must earn their place in line. Behind the scenes, sources say Meghan's inquiry didn't go unanswered, but it wasn't embraced either. Hermès executives, true to their tradition, held a series of quiet meetings to discuss the implications. To grant such a request could be seen as bending the rules. And for a brand built on principle and perfection, that kind of exception is dangerous. Even the late Queen Elizabeth II, despite her global stature, was never publicly offered a special edition beyond official collaborations. That's how tightly Hermès guards its legacy. Still, there was a quiet tension in the air. Meghan's request represented more than a fashion wish. It tested how far influence could go in a world where money and fame don't always equal access. For some insiders, it was a moment of fascination. Could modern celebrity power outshine century-old exclusivity? Hermès' silent decision. Inside the polished marble walls of Hermès Paris headquarters, the air was heavy with quiet debate. The request from Meghan Markle wasn't one to dismiss lightly. After all, she wasn't just any client, she was a global figure whose every fashion choice could influence markets, headlines, and public conversations. Yet, within Hermès, prestige doesn't bend for fame. Every decision the brand makes carries decades of philosophy, restraint, exclusivity, and a devotion to craft over publicity. In internal meetings, opinions reportedly clashed. A few forward-thinking executives saw potential. They argued that collaborating with Meghan could open new doors, bringing Hermès closer to a younger digital audience. She represented modern sophistication, independence, and global reach. But the opposing voices, those who held the brand's traditions close, were far more persuasive. They insisted Hermès was not built on visibility. It was built on mystery. Hermès does not follow, one insider put it. It waits to be followed. The discussion wasn't about money. Hermès has never needed celebrity endorsements to remain powerful. What truly mattered was control. Meghan's image, as admired as it was, came with unpredictability. Her every move sparked debate, adored by millions, criticized by others. For a house that had survived over a century by staying neutral and untangled from controversy, partnering with someone so publicly discussed felt risky. In the end, the verdict was made with the precision of a couture stitch, quiet, deliberate, and final. A polite message was drafted to Meghan's team, expressing gratitude but explaining that Hermès does not entertain custom design requests under any circumstance. No personal slight, no emotion, just policy. And that was it. No press release, no official comment. The refusal was handled the Hermès way, through silence. But in the fashion world, silence never truly stays contained. Whispers started drifting through the corridors of fashion magazines, murmured between stylists at events, and soon someone spoke to the press. The story escaped. Hermès didn't issue a denial, nor did they confirm anything. They didn't have to. Their lack of response became the loudest message of all, a quiet declaration that while fame may change faces, true luxury never chases the spotlight. Whispers turn intro. Headlines. What began as a quiet rumor among fashion insiders quickly turned into a full-blown media storm. In the world of luxury, where whispers usually die behind closed doors, this one refused to fade. The story had all the right ingredients: royalty, exclusivity, rejection, and mystery. Soon, fashion blogs began publishing cryptic notes about a former royal being politely turned down by an iconic Parisian brand. No one needed names. The hints were enough. Within hours, readers connected the dots. It had to be Meghan Markle. Once social media caught the scent, everything spiraled. Like Hermès rejects and Markle snub trended across platforms. Some users rushed to defend Meghan, calling the incident an example of elitism within the fashion industry. Others, more cynical, turned it into digital theater memes. Commentary and opinion threads flooded timelines. What should have been a private business exchange had become a public spectacle, dissected by millions who knew little of what truly happened. The online debate split people into two camps. Meghan's supporters framed her as the victim of an outdated luxury hierarchy, a woman punished for stepping away from a royal system that no longer controlled her. They admired her courage to ask for something unique, and saw Hermès' refusal as a snub rooted in old-world pride. Meanwhile, critics argued that Hermès was simply upholding its values, maintaining the same standards that make its name so respected. To them, exclusivity wasn't arrogance, it was principle. In the middle of all this noise, Hermès remained unmoved. The brand refused to comment, as expected. That silence, dignified and deliberate, only deepened the fascination. People wanted answers, but Hermès knew that mystery sells better than explanations. And then there was Meghan. While tabloids screamed and Twitter speculated, she said nothing. No statement, no clarification, no denial. Her silence became part of the intrigue. To some, it looked like quiet strength. To others, calculated restraint. Either way, her decision not to engage made the story even bigger, because when a global figure refuses to defend herself, the world leans in closer to fill the silence with its own version of truth. Behind the polite refusal. To the casual observer, Hermès' polite no might seem like nothing more than business as usual, a minor corporate decision or a scheduling issue. But for those who understand the coded language of high fashion, it spoke volumes. Every gesture in that world carries layers of meaning, and this particular refusal echoed through the industry like a silent headline. Hermès, after all, isn't a brand that simply sells luxury. It sells legacy. Its exclusivity is built on a philosophy that money alone can't buy access. Even the world's wealthiest clients wait years for a single Birkin. The waiting list itself is part of the mystique. So when Meghan's request came through, it wasn't just about leather or stitching, it was about the unwritten rules that define who truly belongs in that rarefied circle. The decision to decline, while wrapped in courtesy, reflected a quiet firmness. Behind closed doors, brand guardians likely debated the optics. Would creating a special bag for Meghan suggest favoritism? Or worse, drag Hermès into her ongoing public controversies? For a company that thrives on timeless elegance, even a hint of political drama could feel risky. In the end, Hermès chose silence over spectacle, a graceful no that protected its image, even at the cost of offending a former royal. And for Meghan, that silence may have stung more deeply than any public rejection ever could. The public humiliation. The sting didn't come from Hermès' refusal itself, it came from what followed in the court of public opinion. In today's digital world, where every whisper can turn into a trending topic, Meghan Markle's quiet request to Hermès became something much louder than intended. Once a few unnamed insiders leaked the story, social media erupted almost instantly. Tweets, memes, and exaggerated headlines painted the moment as a full-blown scandal. What had been a private, business-like exchange between Meghan's team and Hermès morphed into a global conversation about status, ego, and rejection. Tabloids wasted no time twisting the narrative. They branded it a royal snub, a fashion humiliation, even claiming that Hermès executives laughed behind closed doors, though not a single credible source confirmed those claims. But in the age of instant outrage, truth often takes a back seat to entertainment. The story fit perfectly into a familiar narrative. The fallen duchess, once surrounded by crowns and luxury, now turned away by the very world she once graced. For Meghan, the challenge wasn't the rejection, it was the narrative being built around it. The media painted her as desperate for relevance, as if asking for a custom bag somehow defined her worth. Her fans, however, saw the double standard immediately. They pointed out how countless celebrities, even men, make similar requests without ridicule. To them, this wasn't about fashion at all. It was about how society treats outspoken women who no longer fit into their expected roles. Meanwhile, Hermès didn't need to say a word. Their silence spoke volumes. In an era of endless brand statements and online apologies, their quiet composure only strengthened their mystique. While the public argued over what had really happened, Hermès maintained its golden rule: never explain, never defend. And so, the incident became a spectacle not of luxury, but of perception. It revealed how quickly stories can spiral, how easily elegance can be mistaken for arrogance, and how even silence can become part of a storm. For Meghan, it was another lesson in how fame works. You don't have to speak for the world to decide what your story means. Meghan's response: calm, strategic, or something else? Weeks passed before Meghan's side reacted. No official statement, no fiery denial, just subtle actions that spoke volumes. She was later spotted carrying different designer bags, Valentino, Dior, and small independent brands, a move that fashion analysts saw as intentional. It looked like Meghan was saying, "I don't need Hermès to make a statement." Behind the scenes, her team reportedly discussed redirecting focus toward her upcoming projects, humanitarian work, brand partnerships, and her lifestyle ventures. She wasn't going to let one luxury brand define her, and yet, the timing of everything raised eyebrows. Was she using this moment to subtly reclaim control of her image? Or had she truly decided that chasing acceptance from the elite wasn't worth it anymore? Either way, the move worked. Public sympathy tilted in her favor again. Many praised her calm silence, calling it the most graceful response to public rejection. Inside the luxury world's reaction. In the glittering but tightly guarded world of high fashion, news doesn't travel through press releases. It travels through whispers, private dinners, and quiet exchanges between stylists and brand directors. When word spread that Hermès had politely turned down Meghan Markle's request, the reactions within that circle were mixed and telling. Some insiders were genuinely impressed by Meghan's grace. She didn't post a cryptic message or unleash a publicist. Instead, she did what very few public figures do these days: she stayed silent. She knew the power of restraint, one Paris-based stylist remarked. In fashion, silence is sometimes the most elegant response. To them, her composure was a reminder that dignity can speak louder than any statement. But others viewed the entire situation as a miscalculation from her camp. They believed her team, experienced as they are, should have known that Hermès doesn't entertain personal customization requests, not even for billionaires, supermodels, or queens. The brand's prestige is built on uniformity and principle, not exceptions. This event rippled quietly across luxury boardrooms. Brands began tightening their PR boundaries, avoiding any association that could stir online debate. Meghan's name, once a symbol of modern sophistication, became a double-edged sword adored by many, scrutinized by just as many. Stylists who once proudly featured Meghan-inspired looks grew cautious. For an industry that thrives on consistency and image control, unpredictability can be dangerous. Meghan represented both influence and instability, a rare combination that fascinated the public but frightened luxury executives. Beyond the bag, what it really means. It's tempting to see this as nothing more than a petty headline, a celebrity turned away over a luxury handbag. But beneath the surface, this story speaks volumes about how status, perception, and quiet power still operate in the world's most exclusive circles. The Hermès refusal wasn't just about a design or a brand policy, it became a symbol of something much deeper. The silent boundaries that define who truly belongs to the elite and who no longer does. For Meghan Markle, this was never simply about fashion. Since stepping away from royal duties, she's walked a fine line between independence and influence.
A spokesperson for Buckingham Palace said that the Queen had written, confirming that in stepping away from the work of the royal family, it's not possible to continue with the responsibilities and duties that come with a life of public service.
Trying to carve out a new identity outside the palace walls. Yet, the Hermès incident revealed a truth she may already know too well. Freedom comes with its own kind of isolation. When she traded royal protocol for personal choice, she also stepped away from the subtle privileges that once opened doors effortlessly. Hermès, on its part, stood firm as a guardian of tradition. Their quiet no wasn't emotional, it was ideological. To them, legacy is sacred. A century of heritage cannot bend, even for someone who once carried royal titles. Their decision reinforced that in the luxury world, authenticity and control outweigh celebrity magnetism every single time. The public, of course, saw more than a fashion refusal. They saw a statement, one that blurred the lines between rejection and redefinition. Supporters viewed Meghan as a woman standing tall in the face of silent elitism, refusing to chase validation from an establishment that often values image over individuality. Critics, however, saw it as another example of how her relationship with prestige remains complicated, admired by some, questioned by others. But perhaps that's where Meghan's real power lies. She didn't let the moment define her. She redefined the moment. Instead of allowing humiliation to take the spotlight, she let composure and silence speak for her. In doing so, she reminded the world that grace doesn't always come from being accepted sometimes. It comes from walking away with dignity intact. The real winner? In the end, irony played its quiet part. What seemed like a loss for Meghan Markle or even a controversy for Hermès actually turned into a moment of subtle triumph for both. Each emerged with something valuable, though in very different ways. Hermès, by standing its ground, reinforced its image as the final frontier of exclusivity. It proved once again that no amount of celebrity power, royal title, or global influence could bend its traditions. That kind of integrity, rare in today's fame-driven culture, only added to its prestige. The message was clear. Hermès belongs to no one, not even to royalty. But Meghan's side of the story carries its own kind of victory, quieter, yet no less powerful. She didn't fight back publicly, didn't issue statements or spin the story. Instead, she let the narrative breathe on its own. That silence became her strength. While others debated what really happened, Meghan's calm detachment made her seem above the noise, composed, confident, and in control of her own image. She has mastered the art of transforming setbacks into momentum. Every time a door closes, she manages to make people watch what she'll do next. That anticipation keeps her relevant. For someone who no longer holds royal titles, that's a powerful kind of influence, the kind brands can't buy and critics can't erase. In a way, both Hermès and Meghan proved something about power. It doesn't always come from saying yes. Sometimes, it's about knowing when to walk away or when to stay silent. Hermès protected its legacy. Meghan protected her narrative. And in a world obsessed with perception, that makes them both winners in their own right, one through timeless restraint, the other through modern resilience. So what do you think, was Hermès being protective of its image, or was Meghan unfairly judged by a world that only accepts you when you fit its rules? This story might sound like another celebrity rumor, but it reveals a deeper truth about fame, pride, and how power really works behind velvet curtains. One polite no from a brand became a symbol of how fragile status can be and how quickly it can shift. But as we've seen before, Meghan Markle doesn't fade easily. She's rewriting her narrative one quiet move at a time. If you enjoyed uncovering the truth behind this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next inside look into the royal and celebrity world. And tell us in the comments, do you think Hermès made the right call, or should they have welcomed Meghan's request? Stay tuned, because more twists from behind the luxury curtain are on the way, and trust me, you won't want to miss them.